Alright, hello again everyone. This is now the next game in the Elder Scrolls series, Morrowind. We are going to be doing all main quests, where we actually go through the main quests. Some of you may have seen any percent where we just finish the game in like 4 minutes. But for this one, we are going to be doing all the Hortator and Nerevarine quests, as well as all of Caius' stuff. So you get to see a lot more of the game and a lot more of the lore behind it. So I'm just going to jump in and start a new game here. Time hasn't started quite yet. This is Giab. We are only going to see him here on the boat.
What's your name?
Now, who won the bid war for Morrowind? No, there it is. So yes, we get to be Talos again. The Nerevarine is Talos. That also makes complicated lore implications. Anyway,
I heard them say we've reached Morrowind. I'm sure they'll let us go.
so here comes the guard. Timing will start as soon as I get full character control.
Here comes the guard.
This is where you get off. Come with me.
And right off the bat, we have what is probably the hardest hardest strat in the whole game, and I got it. And that is getting around that guard. Saves about a second to a second and a half. You can also set the tone for the run. Now I have to skip a dialogue box for that hatch. Didn't get it, but that's fine. Now I have to choose my race. Just like with Daggerfall, I'm going to be a Red Guard, because Red Guards in this game get an ability known as Adrenaline Rush, which will be very useful for a jump that comes up fairly early on in the run.
To the office and they'll finish your release.
Now we're going to head inside the census office and do the rest of character generation. This is Acucius Urgala. He is voiced by someone named Wes Johnson, who is actually running a marathon, or running a charity event that starts right after this one does, on May 1st. Now I do have to be careful about how I set my character here, because we do have to get to level 3. And we are going to do that by leveling up our speechcraft skill.
Mentioned you were born under a certain sign. And what would that be?
Now I'm going to pick Steed for my birth sign, because that makes my character go faster.
Interesting. Now, before I stamp these papers, make sure this information is correct.
That's okay, going to grab my papers. Now we have an AI exploit. I'm going to grab this platter and drop it on the ground. Now that is stealing, and stealing is wrong, but during the tutorial, the game's like, we're not going to punish you for it. The game's going to try to take that platter, but because I dropped it on the ground, it can't do that. And so we get the platter and we can sell it for some gold later. Just going to turn in my papers. Yeah, it is. Now, we were supposed to give that ring to Fargo, it's right there, but we're not going to do that. We're instead going to sell it to a rill here. We're also going to buy a lockpick, as well as some teleportation scrolls and an unlocking scroll. There are several different kinds of teleportation in Morrowind. There is Mark and Recall, which you saw in the last game as Anchor and Teleport. There is also Intervention, which takes you to temples and forts, and we will be using all 4 of those throughout this run. Outside of town, here's an Easter egg. There's a mage named Tarheel who invented some scrolls that allow you to jump really high, but he doesn't quite know how to use them correctly, so he's just going to fall to his death. We're going to grab those, grab his shoes as well, then teleport to Balmora. And it's not raining, thank goodness. And now we are going to jump to the end of the game, because at the end of the game are 2 very powerful items we are going to use to buff up our stats, Sunder and Keening. We also need those items to beat the game. Oh, this is annoying. I'm going to have to load Balmora again. This has happened to me before, where you get stuck in that tower. It's a rather annoying thing. Okay, turn that on. If you want to read a donation or a quick blurb, now's a good time. So what you just saw there was I just scrolled my mouse wheel and swapped weapons back and forth really quickly. And if you look in the top left corner, you'll see my speed is now 3,000, which means I go this fast. And physics don't really matter a whole lot when you have this much speed. In here is the Hammer Sunder that we're going to grab off of Dagoth Vemin. who is right inside here. Just going to phase through that door. We're going to kill him with a lockpick, because if you swap to a lockpick mid-weapon animation, that glitches the damage, and you make infinite damage, pretty much. Going to swap a bit more to get my endurance and luck up. That's good. And now I'm actually going to exit the game. And in the background, what I'm doing is I'm actually moving the quick save I just made over to Game of the Year Edition. And what that does is I'm now going to start in Game of the Year Edition. I'm going to restart my screen share one moment so you all can watch that. There are a bunch of improvements that were made in Game of the Year Edition, and because of that, it is actually faster to swap versions while you are in the middle of a run. Lots of UI improvements. Also, stability is a general thing. I'm going to get that ready. Going to equip an Amulet of Levitate on that hotkey. Then I'm going to teleport to the town of Alderaan. And from here, I'm going to head to Caldera and meet up with everyone's favorite merchant if you play this game casually, Creeper. And what I'm going to do with Creeper is I'm going to sell some armor to him that I'm going to steal out of this crate right here. That's going to give us a nice amount of gold. Not going to sell everything because Creeper only has 5,000 gold. Mudcrab Merchant is way better. Going to sell the rest to Varik Germain over here. And I'm going to buy a couple amulets, as well as a bow and some arrows. We're going to be using those frequently throughout the run. Now that I've done that, I'm going to head back to Balmora, where we jumped to the end of the game from. And in here, I'm going to buy a few spells. One is some intervention, so I can teleport back to temples. Then from this NPC, I'm going to buy Fortitude and Mark. And then I'm going to generate a custom spell. And this custom spell has 3 effects. There we go. The first thing is it makes the speed of any NPC I cast it near a lot faster, 200 faster specifically. It also makes NPCs like me more. And then there's a third effect that makes the spell permanent if I set all those things to 0. We call it the Soul Trap glitch, because that's one of the things it can be used for if you play this game casually. Equip some hotkeys there, and now we're going to head back to Saint Denis, where we exited the Census and Excise office, because there's actually a fetch quest item in an ancestral tomb right outside of Saint Denis. It's right in here. Door. Doors are the worst in this game. They are one of the major enemies. Okay. Also, the skull can be an enemy. There we go. Now that I've grabbed that skull, we're going to head to Caius Cosades, who is one of the main quest-giving NPCs early on in the main quest. Now, the first thing he's going to do is he is going to send us over to an NPC, the Fighters Guild, who's going to give us some information about the 6th house. But before we do that, we have to grab a puzzle box for him that is in this dungeon right outside of town. If any of you play this game casually, you may remember Snowy Granius. I just flew over him. Not an issue. Yep. Anyway, here's the Fighters Guild. Door. 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 There we go. Doors are going to continue to be an issue throughout this run. That's normal. Anyway, we turn in that. Then I'm going to teleport back to Kai's. And now we're going to train up Speechcraft. So as I mentioned, for a later quest, we have to be level 3. And this is going to set up that level up. Now that I've done that, I'm going to head over to the Mages Guild. I'm going to turn in that skull and get some information about something known as the Nerevarine cult. All of this will be explained later on in the run. First, I'm going to sell off a couple items to Galberdier and grab a soul gem. I'm going to sell those because I don't need them anymore. I got Drathist. Sometimes that scroll can appear in the place that the scrolls I tried to buy normally appear. And I say I got Drathist because that's the spell that appeared there instead. Gonna get some levitate from this NPC. This is a bit of a safer strat than World Record. And since this is a marathon, I'm going to do that.
Warm greetings out there.
Then we're going to head to Alderaan. And in Alderaan, we're going to set up another glitch. See, if you cast a follow spell twice on an NPC with an escort quest, it skips to a part of the script for that escort quest that instantly passes that escort quest. We're not quite sure why that's in those scripts. We think it might just be some sort of failsafe, but it's great for speedruns. I'm going to put that follow spell on Tar Heel's shoes that we grabbed earlier. Then I'm going to rest twice to level up. And now we are level 3, so we can get the next quest. The next quest sends us to Vivek, where we are going to get some information from 3 NPCs. The first one would normally have an escort quest associated with them, but instead we're going to use our Shoes of Instapass that we just made, and we won't have to do that escort quest. They're located in here. They're going to tell us more about the Nerve-Ring cult. The second NPC is in a bit of trouble with their taxes, but if we just kill the taxman, then I guess that becomes a non-issue. Taxman is located right in here. Stop moving, please. There we go. And now the NPC is going to tell us about the Nerve-Ring cult. Oops. Sorry, the Sixth House cult. The third NPC is located in the library. They're going to tell us that we need to acquire a book. That book is also in the library. I'm going to try and steal it without getting caught, but even if I do, I'm way too fast. Anyway. This might be good, actually. Nope. Alright. Good luck. Like I said, way too fast. Anyway, now that we've done that, Kai's is going to send us on yet another quest to get more information. You may be sensing a trend here. This one is from an NPC in Alderun, and they're going to tell us about the Ashlanders, who are a nomadic tribe that is located way out in, well, the Ashlands. Specifically, we are going to be talking about their gift-giving customs. And now that we have finally gathered all this information for Caius, Caius is finally going to tell us what is going on here. See, it turns out that the Emperor, who was the same Emperor who sent us to Daggerfall in the previous game, believes we may be the reincarnation of a war general from 1,000 years ago. If that is the case, then we have a very important destiny to fulfill. And so we are going to go talk to the Ashlanders and see if they can help us out with that. First, they're going to make us fetch a bow from this cave here. So we're just going to head inside and take care of that. Not the bow I'm currently carrying, a much more important one. The bow I'm carrying right now is actually going to break if I use it one more time, so we don't want that one. Anyway, this is the ghost that has the bow on it. That's taken care of. Gonna teleport out and head over to the Ashlander camp. It is very hard to see here. I oftentimes get lost in the Ashlands, but looks like we're here. Now that I'm here, I have some very important courtesies to fulfill, mainly bribing that guy 200 gold so he will let us speak to the leader. Leader is going to send us on a fetch quest to grab the bow, but we already got it, so we can now talk to the wise woman who's going to tell us more about the prophecy. Now, what the wise woman tells us is that we haven't quite fulfilled our destiny yet, but we have the potential to fulfill that. What she would do next is she would send us on a very long series of quests to fetch something, and then she would reveal the location of a cave. But because we're speedrunners, I know exactly where that cave is located. It's that small black dot on the map that I'm heading to. It's right here. We can only enter at certain hours, but we're here at the right time, so we can just do that. Now, inside this cave is a ring that actually used to be carried by the War General. And because of that, everyone recognizes us as the reincarnation of that general. What also happened there was I skipped a cutscene, thank goodness for skippable cutscenes, that set up the rest of the main quest. We need to be named Hortator by all 3 great houses on Vardenfell, and named Nervarine by all 4 Ashlander tribes. That vampire I just killed was part of one of the Nervarine quests, and I'm now going to turn that into the Zainab Ashlander tribe, who is right over here. Now, what the Zainab tribe leader says is that we did great killing that vampire, but before he'll kneel us Nervarine, he wants us to bring him a bride. We will take care of that later. In the meantime, we are going to take care of the Telvanni Hortator quest. Now, the way you need to become Hortator is every single counselor needs to vote for you to be Hortator. You may have noticed I just killed one. See, if the counselor is dead, then their vote doesn't really count. So, we can just kill these because it's fast. Actually, that was the wrong spell. There we go. Over here is the Ahumusa tribe. Normally, this would be a very annoying escort quest, but with my Shoes of Instapass, I can just cast them twice. And that quest is completed instantly. Now I'm going to teleport back to the Ursulaku camp. They already like me, so being named Nerevarine is no problem there. Then next, we're going to head to Aldruin and take care of the Redoran Hortator quest. Oh goodness, that was some good timing there. Almost ran out of Levitate. So the way the Redoran Hortator quest works is the head of House Redoran has kidnapped the son of one of the other counselors. So what we're going to do is we're going to rescue the son, and that is going to garner favor. Actually, hold on. This is what I need. Nope. Game. There we go. Got stuck on a banner there for some reason. So this is the son. We are going to escort him back to his dad's house, and then his dad's going to garner favor with all the other counselors, so they will vote for us to be Nerevarine, except the leader, of course. But we will deal with the leader later. Yeah, they're all real close together. This is going to be interesting. This is the one escort quest we cannot skip due to how it's scripted. And so as you can see, this AI sometimes gets weird. Not too bad. I've had worse. So now that we have done that, we just need to go talk to all the other counselors. This is a very heavy movement section, and so I need to pay attention to that. So if you've got any donations or blurbs you want to read, now would be a great time for that. For this counselor, it's easy to get lost because of the rooms you have to go through. But I think I know roughly where I need to go. Here we are.
3 blessings to you, Outlander.
Then we have Arabar. Even easier to get lost in this manner. So that is all of the counselors taken care of. Now we need to talk to the head of House Redoran, and he is going to challenge us to a duel to the death. We will be taking care of that a little bit later on. In the meantime, we are going to head back to Balmora because Caius has a bit of a side quest for us. See, while we were taking care of all of this, Caius and his Blades agents found a 6th house base. And so he wants us to go take it out. The 6th house, as I believe we mentioned before, are the main villains of Morrowind, and their leader, Dagoth-Ur, is the final boss we're going to take out. Now, what the 6th house is up to is they are spreading a disease known as corpus disease all throughout the island of Vardenfell. They are infecting people's dreams to force them to become their followers. And what Dagoth-Ur specifically is doing is he is actually building a second Numidium. You may remember the first Numidium from the first game that Tyrus Septim used to take control. Well, we've got a second one here that we need to deal with. And so taking out Dagoth-Ur is going to be important for the same reasons as the last game. We do not want a second Numidium taking care of stuff. Now here's the head priest. He has been taken out, and with his dying breath, he curses us with that exact corpus disease I just talked about. Talk to me, Caius. There we go. And so we are going to have to go get this corpus disease taken care of. But first we're going to head to Vivek, and we're going to take care of the Arabenium Subnerevarine quest. Gonna mark here, this is a very useful spot to head to. Now, the way the Arabenium Subnerevarine quest works is a bunch of their leaders are a bit warlike and don't really like this whole Nerevarine prophecy thing. And where am I going? There we are. And so we're going to kill all of the warlike leaders and name someone else the leader of this tribe instead. And then they're going to name us Nerevarine. Let's see. You'll notice I'm grabbing some clothing from some of these NPCs. We're going to use that to convince the person to become leader of the tribe, because he doesn't want to become leader of the tribe. Now I'm going to talk to the wise woman. She is going to tell us the plot to make the new person head that I just told all of you. And now we're going to take care of that. Just going to yell at him a whole bunch, give him the items, and now he is head of the tribe. He names us Nerevarine, and yeah, that's it, I guess. So now that we've done that, let's go get this corpus taken care of. See, Caius actually might have found someone who has a cure for corpus. The problem was everyone he's given it to has died. But I mean, what do we really have to lose anyway? We're going to die too, if you have corpus long enough. Now, before we can get the cure for corpus... Whoops. Wrong button there. Before we can get the cure for corpus, we are going on a fetch quest to fetch some boots from the last living dwarf. If any of you played Skyrim, you know what a big deal speaking to a dwarf in this game is. Here he is. Say hi to the dwarf, and then goodbye. Sometimes I can get to that... Go ahead. Yeah, second weirdness is very accurate. Second weirdness. So anyway, we take the cure for corpus, and what do you know? It works on us, the main character of all things. And it turns out that being able to be cured of corpus is actually part of the Nerevarine prophecy. So that's yet more of it fulfilled. This is Neloth, or was. Don't worry about him being in a Skyrim DLC, he is canonically dead. In here is Gothrin. Gothrin is never going to accept us to be Nerevarine, and the game actually tells you as much as part of the dialogue in this game that you should kill Gothrin. This door always gives me trouble. There we go. No. Yeah. Okay. So this NPC is in a cage here. She used to be a slave, but now with my Shoes of Instapass, she is the bride of the leader of the Zainab tribe. And with that, we are now Nerevarine of the Zainab tribe. Next, we're going to head back to Balmora because Caius has one final quest for us before he heads back to the Imperial City in Cyrodiil. That is to rescue Maramilo. Maramilo belongs to a faction known as the Distant Priests, and they have an alternate account of the general we are the reincarnation of, and the temple here in Morrowind does not like that, and so they're persecuting the Distant Priests. This is the head of House Hlalu, the third great house. He is actually allied with Dagloth-Ur in the sixth house, so he is never going to name us Nerevarine and would actually attack us if we talk to him. Now that we have killed him, the rest of House Hlalu is scared of us, so they're just going to name us Hortator, no problem. In fact, this NPC is going to walk away from me. Down the steps. Come here. Name me Hortator. There we go. Now we're going to head back to Vivek and take care of the head of House Redrun, who has challenged us to a duel to the death. And with a quick bonk on the head, that takes care of him. In here is Yingling Half-Troll. He wants us to pay him 1,000 gold, but doing that takes a while, so we're just going to kill him. Next up is Counselor Drambaro. All we have to do is find him. He's right over here. There you are. Next we have a counselor that's located a bit off to the side. This is a really easy one to forget, and I cast the wrong spell, so this is going to make this interesting. They're over here on this island. This island. There they are. And now we're going to go break Maramilo out of jail. This is jail, by the way. It's a floating meteor. Don't worry about it. Nothing bad could possibly happen with a floating meteor. Anyway, here's Maramilo. We're going to give her one of the Divine Intervention scrolls we got from the Mage's Guild a while back, and then she is going to meet us at the base of the Distant Priests called Holamayan. We're going to get there by talking to this NPC. Gonna rest a bit to make it the right time. And then talk to them and get that alternate account of the general we are the reincarnation of. Whoops, went through that wall there. So now the next part of the main quest can really be done in any order. And this is just turning in all of the Hortator quests. We are first going to turn in the Telvanni Hortator quest with the last living counselor of House Telvanni, and that is Mistress Thorana. Now, Mistress Thorana is a bit hard of hearing and also a bit senile, so she's going to start rambling about spiders and eggs and other things. But we're going to amuse her, and then we are named Hermidor of House Telvanni, whatever that means. Next, we're going to turn in House Redron, And it turns out the new head of House Redrun is the counselor whose son we've rescued, so we will be named Hortator no problem. Here we go. And now we will be talking to a rather interesting NPC named Crassius Curio, to be named Hortator of House Hlalu. If you've ever read his play, you'll know he's a bit of a playwright and an interesting character, but I won't be going into detail about him. Instead, I will just give him a little kiss, and then we will be named Hortator of House Hlalu. Yes, I was not kidding about giving him a kiss. Yeah. Anyway, we have now been named Hortator of all 3 great houses and Nerevarine of all 4 Ashlander tribes, and so we now get to talk to the false god Vivek, and he is going to give us the final quest to defeat Dagoth Ur.
Why walk when you can ride?
Ah. Yes, we can hear you now.
Why walk when you can ride?
Ah. Okay. Okay. Well, we can hear you now. But anyway, here is Dagoth Ur. We parkoured around that mountain early on in the run. All I have to do is attack the heart that is going to power the second Numidium in the center of the heart chamber, and that will defeat the final boss.
What a fool you are.
Oops, didn't go
I'm
third
a
person there.
god. How can you kill a god? What a grand and intoxicating innocence. How could you be so naive? There is no escape. No
Oops,
recall.
hit time a bit early there, but that's time.
You no longer bear the
Lay down
burden
your
of
weapon.
prophecy.
It is
You have
not too late
achieved
for
your
my
destiny.
mercy.
You are free.
Alright, and that is the Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind all main quests. A few more shoutouts. Shoutouts again to the Flying Marlin for doing some commentary for this run as well. Shout out to Troy of Athens for hosting and reading donations for the past couple of runs. A couple shoutouts for the community. Shout out to Forrest, who did a lot of the initial routing of all main quests, and you can still see some remnants of that during the latter part of the run. As well as a shout out to Volvulus, who both did a lot of the current routing for all main quests, as well as did a lot of mentoring for me while I was learning this run. If you are interested in learning Daggerfall or Morrowind for yourself, there is a link to our speedrunning Discord on speedrun.com. We don't have a ton of up-to-date resources at the moment. Someday I'm going to fix that. But until then, definitely join the community. We are a very welcoming community, and ask all the questions you'd like in our Discord. Now, that's going to do it for me here on the camera, but tomorrow I will be reading donations for you tomorrow morning Eastern Time. And with that, Marlon, do you have anything else you want to add? Yeah, thanks. I am still amazed at that werewolf luck. That was incredible. But anyway, that's going to do it for us. Thank you all so much for donating to No Kid Hungry, and let's throw it back to the break screen and our host.